It's no wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now.
Bill Maher has officially had enough with the woke left. And honestly, I think we all have. On a recent Real-Time episode, Maher went in hard on the progressive obsession with bureaucracy that's holding back America's push to save the environment. True to form, Maher didn't just criticize, it was a full-on roast, exposing the left for squandering massive amounts of money with little to show for it. Get ready for a hard-hitting take that
It's that America isn't able to get anything done. It's that we're not allowed to. Of course, there should be consideration of the environment on everything we build, but as so often happens on the left, they seem to have no ability to recognize when they've taken a concept way too far and are in fact hurting their own cause. America's become Gulliver, the giant that got tied down with 1,000 tiny ropes by Lilliputians, the horde of little people who do big damage. Build back better? Sounds good. So does shovel-ready jobs. Yeah, exactly.
Maher kicked things off by calling out the woke left for drowning America in red tape and bureaucracy. He tore into the Biden administration's so-called Build Back Better plan, which he argued was nothing but a maze of committees, paperwork, and empty promises. Maher says it wasn't a plan to make America better. It was just a bloated mess that achieved nothing except keeping bureaucrats busy. Every inch of progress was bogged down by endless forms and approval.
As Barack Obama once said, one of the biggest lessons he learned as president was there is no such thing as shovel-ready projects. Environmental impact statements used to be a few pages long. Now they're thousands of pages of legalistic nonsense and take an average of 4.5 years to complete, with thousands of bureaucrats filling out millions of paper forms that kill hundreds of forests to answer the question, is this good for the environment? In San Francisco, the city's so nice you'll step in poop twice.
Remember Obama's promise of shovel-ready projects? Well, that promise evaporated pretty quickly. Obama admitted that there were no shovel-ready projects, all buried under endless regulations and environmental reviews. Fast forward to today, and the same bureaucratic hurdles are stalling vital projects like the Keystone XL pipeline. Ironically, the left's obsessive focus on environmental reports only contributes to more paper waste every—
There's an area where homeless people were urinating and defecating, and it was starting to annoy the people breaking into cars. So the city tried to build a public toilet last year, but then gave up when the cost hit $1.7 million. Not $1.7 million for a public toilet system, $1.7 million for one toilet. And this wasn't some magic toilet that catches your phone when you drop. So then a private company took pity on San Francisco and offered to build them their toilet for free. But after, quote, project management, construction management, architecture and engineering fees, permits, civic design review, surveys, contract preparation, and cost estimation, the free toilet was still going to cost almost $1 million.
And that's where the frustration really builds. Under the Biden administration, even the simplest tasks became a nightmare of paperwork and delays. The DNC lost the people's trust because they were tired of seeing their tax dollars wasted on a government stuck in a cycle of bureaucracy. A project as basic as building a public restroom became a Herculean task due to layers of permits, environmental reviews, and contractor price hikes. That's not governance. That's government gone off the rails.
Feels like San Francisco is actually proud of being impossible. Asked about the toilet, a spokesman for the Department of Public Works said, "We are a city of public input." Okay, but I'm stepping in public output.
San Francisco's open defecation crisis is a textbook example of bureaucratic failure. The city, known for its progressive values, is now marked by human waste on the streets. The local government seems stuck in its own maze of red tape, where every plan to build public restrooms gets delayed by environmental reviews and funding debates. Residents are forced to navigate sidewalks covered in neglect, while the government can't get out of its own way. The sad irony is that good intentions are suffocated by a broken system.
Well, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building. You need 87 permits, 15 from the Planning Commission, 26 from the Public Utilities Commission and the Fire Department, 19 from building inspectors, 17 from the Public Works, 10 related to public spaces, and 1 from a guy in a t-shirt that says Federal Boob Inspector.
It's honestly heartbreaking. The more we advance as a society, the harder it feels to get anything done. We've wrapped ourselves in so much caution, political correctness, and red tape that what once took a year now takes 2, if not more. And yet, we live in an age of artificial intelligence, smartphones that can calculate rocket trajectories, and nanotechnology. But when it comes to building roads or public facilities, we're stuck in a bureaucratic
Wonder that in 2021, San Francisco issued only 2,000 permits for new homes. Sure, there are people living in the streets, but that's because we want to make sure the apartments they don't live in are perfect. I don't fear AI anymore because it couldn't possibly be any more robotic than the humans who run things now. So let me...
California's homelessness crisis should be a call to action for faster housing construction. But instead, it's taking years to build a single home due to endless permits, zoning laws, and environmental reviews. The system seems designed to keep people on the streets, not help them. Despite being one of the wealthiest, most progressive states, California can't seem to solve the most basic human need: shelter. And that's the real tragedy. The state that could lead in affordable housing innovation.
Let me finish with this. Not that there was ever any reason to build it in the first place, and not that there would be any reason to do it again, but just as an exercise in realizing how far we've regressed as the can-do people, I think we should all try to imagine how it will go down if we tried to sculpt Mount Rushmore out of a mountain today. First, we'd have to make the mountain handicap accessible, so we could hire handicapped people to work on the side of a mountain. Then there'd be a 10-year delay while we studied the effect of construction noise on the mating habits of woodchucks. Then another 10 years to obtain ethnically sourced dynamite. And find a sculptor who doesn't only work from home.
Bill Maher nails it here. Sometimes the mountain of permits required just to build something is utterly absurd. We've turned progress into paperwork. Our ancestors built railroads, bridges, and entire cities with far fewer resources and no complex permit chains. Sure, they weren't perfect, but they actually got things done. Today, bureaucracy has become a wall, not a safeguard. It stifles innovation, kills initiative, and leaves problems to fester. San Francisco doesn't need another committee meeting.
And then another 2 years to apologize for being on Indian land. And finally, after 50 years and a cost that had ballooned to $100 billion, we'd have half a nostril, and it wouldn't be Lincoln, it'd be Che Guevara.
It may sound ridiculous, but it's the truth. Bureaucracy, meant to protect people and the planet, often does the opposite. Take electric cars, for example. After decades of tax incentives and mass adoption, the overall environmental impact has been underwhelming. Why? Because the electricity they run on still largely comes from fossil fuels, and mining for their batteries harms the planet too. Real progress doesn't come from paperwork or performative policies. It comes from real, effective action.
I feel like it wasn't that long ago when you could watch cable news for a day and not get the impression that this whole place was totally batshit. That simply was not America. Florida, yes, but not America. So, let's examine what makes sane people feel this way. Sane people who are, after all, still the vast majority, and who are the ones who, I assume, just voted me the most trusted man in America. That is a real headline.
You may not like Bill Maher, and I don't agree with everything he says, but one thing's clear: he's consistent, honest, and unafraid to call out his own side. That's rare today. Maher's ability to dissect issues with clarity, wit, and a fearless stance on truth has earned him a place as one of the most trusted voices in America. His message isn't about politics, it's about common sense. We live in an age of unprecedented technology and